What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live, powered by BetUS TV. Today, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, which has had a lot happen since we were last live last Thursday. A lot of good basketball and some absolute heartbreak. We're going to talk about Damian Lillard's injury today. We're going to talk about a couple of games today as well. The Warriors-Rockets game was crazy. That was a 3-hour slugfest that just finished up. And we've been waiting to go live until after playoff games are done just because we like to recap them. And there's been some really scrappy playoff action that I'm excited to talk about. We're also going to talk about Anfernee Simons being cited at an Orlando Magic game. Does that mean something? Or does that mean nothing? We're going to get your thoughts in the comment section. And also, I will ask Eric about a trade idea that I've heard, and I want to get his thoughts. We're getting closer to the point of the offseason where we're just going to start talking about random trade ideas that are floating out there, and that's what we have on tap for today. Eric, before I ask you how you're doing, I got to ask Alvaro how he's doing, because the legend himself, Alvaro, gifted one Blazers Uprise membership, and it goes to E-Ray Petro. Thank you, Alvaro. Good to see you in here, man. Always love to see you in here. Thank you for the memberships that you gift our lovely community. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
What's up, Albie? What's up, Tori? I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? How's everyone in chat land?
I'm doing good, man. This is my best Monday in a while. All right, this was a decent day. So I was like super sore the past week, just playing basketball, just super sore, and woke up today, felt much better, so that was cool. And enjoyed watching the playoffs today, and been looking forward to this stream. We got a full package for you guys today. Eric, what'd you do this weekend? Chat, what did you guys do this weekend? Let me know in the live chat. Eric, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was good. Yeah, we can start getting back into that, huh? Now that we're
man, back into off-season mode.
Yeah.
We're still figuring it out.
Yeah. My kids are both in soccer right now, so Saturday one of them plays and Sunday the other one plays. So that takes up most of my time. And then my daughter was home from Oregon State for the weekend, and my mom watched the two little ones, and my wife and oldest daughter went out to dinner, had some drinks and stuff. Ended up at Applebee's at the bar there with some drinks as well. And just had a fun Saturday night, and then pretty chill Sunday.
Nice. Love to hear it. So,
how about you?
Yeah, so our rec league team played. Mine and Eric's rec league team. Eric couldn't make it. And we struggled. I struggled. It was not one of my better games. Struggled to move. Legs weren't there, man. And we lost by 8. So we lost by 1 last game, and now we lost by 8. So we're 0-2, but we've been competitive. So hopefully we'll turn it around next week. You know, each Monday we'll let you guys know how our rec team did. But yeah, lost by 8. And we only had 6, so minutes were kind of rough, and it was a lot of guys that hadn't really... Well, some of the guys had played together. There was only 2 that I'd played with, so just trying to figure that out, and hopefully we'll do better next weekend. Other than that, man, worked on some video stuff for the channel. I'm still kind of like tying some stuff together. I don't want to start uploading until I have some stuff like pretty much ready to go. So I've just been kind of putting that off because I want it to be consistent once I start uploading videos again. So just stay tuned. There will be some stuff coming, I promise. You know, it's not going to be daily, but we do have video content coming. I spent some time on that yesterday. But before we get into things, let's give a quick shout out to BetUS. We're going to recap the Warriors-Rockets game. The Warriors are now up 3-1 over the Rockets. So you got the Timberwolves up 3-1 over the Lakers. You got the Warriors up 3-1 over the Rockets. You got the Thunder sweeping the Grizzlies, and the Clippers and Nuggets tied at 2-2. All I want to know, Eric, and I'll do a chat poll, Which series has surprised you the most? And if it's Warriors and Rockets, we'll get into it. But if it's one of the other three, let me know why.
Thunder over Grizzlies sweep doesn't surprise me, especially after Ja got hurt in Game 3 there. Although blowing the 29-point lead was kind of surprising. But just if you told me the Thunder swept that series, not surprising at all. Clippers and Nuggets kind of assumed it would be this type of series, or at least was hoping it would be this type of series. So the fact that that's 2-2, it doesn't really surprise me. Warriors, I thought the Rockets are kind of a year away from that being a team that can really, I don't know, not necessarily contend, but like win a tough playoff series against a team that has Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of thought this was how the Warriors-Rockets series would go, or the Warriors, as it says on there. So I guess the most surprise to me is that the Lakers are down 3-1 to the T-Wolves, considering the Wolves didn't really look like the team they looked like in the playoffs last year, all season for the most part. So it is kind of surprised me that they just found that gear right away as the playoffs started this year.
Yeah. Shout out to BetUS for the graphic, even with the typo. Shout out to my guys over there. I agree. It's Lakers Timberwolves. The Timberwolves lead 3-1. I thought the Lakers were going to win this series. You have LeBron, you have Luka. I figured they would just find a way to get it done. What the Warriors are doing right now to the Rockets is not surprising me. I think a couple close wins, that's just the experience of the Warriors versus the lack of experience with the Rockets, right? When we see that, we've seen that before, where you have a team with more experience that just wins close games in the playoffs, even though they might not be the better team, and experience matters. Last year we saw it with Dallas beating OKC, winning some close games there down the stretch in the second round in the 1-5 matchup. We're seeing it right now with the Rockets and Warriors. I took the Warriors all the way to the finals. I think the Warriors are ready to go on a run here, especially if they face the Timberwolves round 2, which is looking like a 6-7 matchup. I think the Warriors are going at least to the conference finals right now. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Clippers and Nuggets is a slugfest. I would have been surprised if the Clippers went up 3-1, I guess. But, the Nuggets had that crazy game winner from Aaron Gordon. If it's an air ball, is it a putback dunk or is it an alley-oop dunk?
I don't know. Since Jokic threw it, it's probably an alley-oop dunk, right?
Yeah. So, never seen such a close buzzer-beating dunk. It's hard to get a buzzer-beating dunk because the ball goes through the net and the clock stops, but that was as perfect of a buzzer-beating dunk as you could possibly get. That was insane. So that series, I hope, goes
after
7.
They blew like a 22-point lead or something like that in the fourth quarter. That was crazy, too.
You've had some massive leads, and some teams have blown them, and some teams have extended them out to like 55-point wins, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. I saw the Nuggets go up like 20 and start to pull away. And I forgot what it was, getting ready to go out to dinner. I think that was Saturday night, right? And then I go and change upstairs and come down, and it's like tied. And I was like, what the heck? Like, how did that happen? And then, saw the last couple minutes.
Yeah. I've had OKC when they were down like 26 to Memphis or whatever. I went away from the TV and came back and it was like tied, and it was the same kind of reaction. Like, what the hell happened in this game? I think this first round has been phenomenal. It'd be a shame. I'll probably put Thunder win 2-2 because that makes sense. But, that's the one typo for today. I thought I was going to have a clean day, but I did not. It was not a perfect day for me. So there's the typo. Hopefully it's the only one, all right? 1 is excusable. 2 is inexcusable. I think the first round has been great to the point where it'd be a shame if we don't have many game 6s or game 7s.
Yeah.
And right now, we only have one series that's tied 2-2 after game 4s. Because if you look at the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Cavs win, and then every other series is 3-1. Every other series seems over. The Pistons series should be 2-2. That has been a great series. The Celtics Magic has been surprisingly competitive, but the Magic couldn't get it done in game 4. I wish they had Jalen Suggs. I think this might be tied 2-2 if they had Jalen Suggs. Or I think it might be tied 2-2 if they had Anfernee Simons, which is foreshadowing. But then the Bucks, we're going to talk about Dame's injury. You've had some really good moments in the Knicks-Pistons series. You've had some phenomenal moments in the Rockets-Warriors series, Lakers-Timberwolves, man. You have the clip of Anthony Edwards kind of punking LeBron. The Nuggets-Clippers series has been wild. In NBA ratings for the first round are up. They're up. So that's a good thing, man. That's a good thing because we always hear, ratings are down. What's wrong with the product? I don't know. The product looks pretty good to me in the first round. You've had some defensive slugfests. Scoring is down. Refs are letting defenses get away with a little bit more. Now, that doesn't apply to the Tim Hardaway shot against Josh Hart because that should have been a foul. And it's ridiculous that wasn't called. But overall, it's been the type of basketball that I enjoy watching in the playoffs. It's completely different from the regular season. It's a different product. Regular season is a bunch of scoring for the casual fan. Once you get into playoffs, the diehard basketball fan like myself, man, I appreciate good defense. I appreciate competitiveness, guys fighting, playing hard. And you can tell teams are just obviously, because of the playoffs, playing much harder than in the regular season. It's a lot of fun to watch. So I think you're going to see some phenomenal second-round series. I think Pacers, Cavs, assuming Pacers advance, will be really good. And the Knicks, Celtics, I don't know, man. The Celtics look a little bit beatable in this first round. So I've been very happy with the playoffs so far, Eric. Have you enjoyed it this year? Like, kind of what are your thoughts on just the first round so far in general?
Yeah, well, my first thought when you said good basketball, whatever, I was going to say, except for Miami.
Well,
but
yeah. I mean, the Heat lose 138-83.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero didn't show up.
Not tonight after saying they were going to go down or get swept or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed these playoffs as well. Yeah, well, we'll get into it in a minute, but Pacers look like they're going to be a tough out once again. Could they upset the Cavs possibly? I wasn't expecting the Cavs to sweep. I thought the Heat would at least make it somewhat interesting. Like you mentioned, that Knicks-Pistons series has been really good. A lot of these games, that's the unfortunate part when it goes 3-1 because there were a couple, shots or plays that go a different way, and we have pretty much all 2-2 series right now. So you can make the case that a lot of the teams that are down 3-1 have actually played just as good or better than the teams they're losing to. They just didn't make the plays at the end or gave up a big run at some point. So, yeah, it's I'm with you. I hope at least a couple of these teams that are down 3-1 win game 5, so it makes it somewhat intriguing.
Yeah.
And then just please go 7 for Nuggets Clippers because that series has been awesome.
Has that been your favorite series? Because honestly, mine so far has been Rockets Warriors, just because the chippiness, like the.
Well, dude, there's been lots of scrapping. There was fight.
Yeah.
Right
true.
before half in Nuggets Clippers.
True.
Detroit and New York have gotten into it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was something else I'm forgetting, but like, was there a fight in the Lakers Timberwolves series too?
I don't know. Like, yeah, there's been a lot of scrappiness across the playoffs. I think that's part of the reason why I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, so I like that. It seems like a lot of these series are getting to the point where it's like getting to be like rivalries or
bad blood.
Bad blood type situations, and I think that just makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the NBA should absolutely embrace it to the point where, like, if guys get scrappy and are just shoving each other, I wouldn't even give out technicals. Like,
Mm.
unless it happens multiple times, then you have to control the game. But like, the Draymond thing today, for example, or it wasn't the Draymond thing. It was like the Dylan Brooks, Steph Curry thing today.
Or Jimmy. When he's arguing with Jimmy? Or
No, when Dylan Brooks like kind of body checked Steph Curry, and then when Steph Curry was getting up, started like swiping at the ball, and then Draymond Green got between them, and there was like some pushing and shoving. I don't think there should be any text for that. Unless it's happening so much that you're losing control of the game and the game is taking way too long and you have all these reviews, whatever. But like the NBA, I think should absolutely embrace that, because seeing like animosity and like the level of competitiveness, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. The chippiness, I think, makes series very intriguing. Because it's like going into this next Warriors Rockets game, it's like, man, Tari Eason, he's low key feisty, Draymond, Jimmy, Dylan Brooks. It's like you have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the bad blood that seems obvious between these two teams, right? You had Jalen Green saying he was going to beat Draymond's ass after game 3. Like, I love this stuff. So there was the worry where Draymond got a technical for that first scuffle, which didn't even make sense to me. I don't understand why he got a technical. He was peacemaking as much as anything, and I'm not just going to randomly defend Draymond Green, trust me. He gets a technical, and then the next play, he's like, rolls over on Tariq, and I don't think he meant to kick him in the head or anything, and then it's like, oh, is he going to get ejected for this? When it was like, would have been ridiculous. Now, luckily he didn't. He got a flagrant foul, which I always thought was also a technical, so when they said flagrant foul, I thought he was ejected, and he wasn't. But like, I don't know, man. I think the NBA should be even more lenient and just embrace this sort of stuff, because I think it makes for good television and good drama.
yeah, I completely agree. I like the scrappy. It's so much better than just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the Heat didn't put up much of a fight, so they get swept,
Yeah.
I think sometimes goes a little hand in hand, like teams don't seem to care as much or want it as badly. And I know the Heat were badly outmatched, but
yeah. Like, and what do people that liked the 1980s and 1990s, whatever, what do they say about today's NBA? Oh, all they do is shoot threes. It's so soft. Like, it was physical back in our day, and now all these players are just friends with each other. They're not competitive. You can't say that about this year's playoffs, man. So that's the stuff that a lot of, they call them old heads. A lot of the old heads say that's what they want, and that's what would get them watching the NBA again. And well, you have it in a lot of these series. Yes, you still have a lot of threes, but I mean, back in the day, they were shooting a lot of long twos. Like, I've never really understood the hatred towards the three compared to the long two. But in general, man, it's been a really fun playoffs, and it's making me excited at the thought of maybe the Blazers being good enough to make a play-in or a playoffs next year. Hopefully they don't get torched like the Grizzlies, because it's like that was just a beatdown. The 1-8 series are ugly, and then every other series has been good.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, the 3-point shooting, yes, it's more prevalent now, but like these games haven't been super high scoring for the most part. I mean, I know Cleveland's put up 138 today, but like the Knicks won a game scoring 94 points yesterday. Like the Warriors scoring 109 isn't like a huge number for them tonight. Like it seems like these games have gotten a lot more physical, and there has been a lot less reliance on the 3-point shot. Now, of course, that's a huge weapon, so it's going to be a big part of things, and a lot of teams use it well. So that is going to be a factor moving forward, is what teams can make threes and stuff like that. But it does seem like these games have been very well played defensively, and it's fun for me. I like it. I was kind of curious though, like the people who always complain about the 3-point shot and stuff and all that. Like, I don't know if they would enjoy basketball if you just like took them back to the 90s
Yeah.
where you had games like in the 80s, frequently as the final scores and stuff like that. Um, like people, I think, like to say that's what they want, but
Mm.
they never really want defense. Most fans, especially ones that aren't like diehard fans or more casual fans, want to see a lot of scoring and baskets and stuff like that. That's the whole point of basketball. So, like, I never understood why people complain that teams score so many points nowadays with these 3-pointers and stuff like that.
I think the thing we're seeing in this year's playoffs is like you got to make tough shots to score. It's not a lot like, oh, another wide open three, oh, another fast break bucket where the defense is kind of jogging back. Like, that's the stuff we see during the regular season a little too much. In the playoffs, it's like, Amen Thompson had an insane finish in this game. Insane, like a little double clutch finish. And then Van Vliet, like, hitting contested deep threes off the dribble. You know what I mean? Like, sure, the Warriors got some open shots in this game, but that's the Warriors' offense. And the difference in style is fun to watch as well. But, like, I think, the scoring is down, but it's not less enjoyable from a scoring standpoint because, like, guys still are hitting tough shots. The defense is just better. So that's what I enjoy, man. Like, I enjoy seeing players hit tough shots against good defense and it being a legitimate battle between an offense and a defense. So that's what you've seen from these playoffs this year. I've been very happy with the product overall, and I'm looking forward to second round matchups, which could be phenomenal. Pacers, Cavs. I think the Pacers will win 2 or 3 games against the Cavs. I have the Cavs win that series in 7. I think the Pacers are being slept on. The Celtics, Knicks, like, there's some star power in that game. I mean, we saw Karl Anthony Towns in game 4 hit 3 straight shots, which were just insanely difficult shots. And it's like, man, he's a 7-footer hitting jumpers off the dribble like this, hitting these types of shots. You would not see that 15, 20 years ago. But Cat's like, he does it 3 straight possessions, and it's like, oh yeah, Cat's really freaking good. This is what Cat does. But he's not even, he's not considered a top 10 player or anything. So it's just, I think, a testament to the level of skill and shot-making ability. It makes it harder to defend, but I think the defense has been up to the task. You've seen a lot of these young teams that have good defenses, like the Rockets, like the Thunder. The Cavs are still, a decently youngish team, I guess. Garland, Mitchell, I don't know if you can call them a young team, but they play defense. They scrap. The Celtics, of course. The Magic are a young team that plays defense. Their offense is atrocious, but their defense is legit. So,
yeah.
Hopefully the Blazers are the next in line in terms of young teams that scrap and get after it, making some noise in the playoffs.
Yep. I think because Matt asked in chat, like, who you think the Blazers scrappy guys are. I think it's Denny and Sumani. But it would help to add like one more scrappy guy. Yeah. Robert could be that guy if he's healthy too, I guess. But.
Well, watching these playoffs, I've wondered, like, would this level of physicality help or hurt the Blazers?
I think it would help them defensively, but offensively, I think they'd really struggle with how dependent they were on isolation and stuff this year. That just wouldn't work in the playoffs. I think it would.
I have at times wondered and thought about Chauncey's offense against this type of defense.
Yeah. That's why, and I don't get it because Chauncey should know this. He's said it multiple times. Like, we've gotta find a way to move around and not be stagnant and stuff. But it hasn't happened yet for the Blazers offense consistently, at least.
Yeah, like Chauncey's offense as constructed, even if he had better players, like Chauncey's offense as constructed, as designed, would get obliterated in the playoffs, man. Defenses being able to be a little bit more physical and not really let you turn the quarter with all the ISO ball this team plays, and they're not a good shooting team, the Blazers would have to hold teams to the 80s. Like, teams could not score more than 90 for the Blazers to win. I think the Blazers would struggle to score 95 points in a playoff game, and that's something for Chauncey to improve on, the roster to improve on, I guess, because I think, while watching these playoffs excites me for the Blazers potentially getting to that level and playing in an intense series that hopefully they're competitive in, while that's exciting, I think this year's playoffs has also shown where the Blazers really need to make improvements, and that is offensively, because their offense just wouldn't fly against this level of defense. So we'll see what they do from a roster standpoint, and we'll see if Chauncey will improve the way he designs his offense like he says he needs to going into next season. Like, I'm at the point, Eric, like, with Chauncey, we talked about it. This is his final chance. This is his final chance. He said what he needs to improve on, okay? He said it. All right, that gives me a shred of hope that maybe he has enough awareness that he's going to figure it out, even though, we're going on year 5, okay? Shred of hope. But this is his last chance, man. If we're halfway through next season, the offense looks the same, I am never, ever, ever giving him a single chance ever again, no matter what he ever says. And I will tattoo Fire Chauncey on my bicep and flex it on the post-game show. No, I won't do that. But you get my point. Like, it's over for me. Like, this is your last chance. The offense has to get better, because if the Blazers are building towards the playoffs, Chauncey has to build as a coach towards being a playoff coach, because he's not one right now with his offense. And we'll see.
I'm there with you. This is definitely the last chance. But I'm almost to the point where, like, I don't even believe what he's saying right now. Like, that's almost to where I'm at.
Well, he's just admitting what he's wrong about.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
Yeah, like.
But, like, we got really excited when he first, his first media day and stuff like that, where he's saying all these things. He said all this stuff back then.
Yeah, but he was clueless.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a much better chance 4 years now he has a lot more of a clue of, like, what he needs to do and what he sucks at. Whereas coming in, it's like, yeah, we're just going to move the ball. We're going to, get Dame moving. We're going to do this, do that. It's a lot easier to say that when you don't know what you're getting yourself into as a head coach. He only had 1 year of experience. Now he knows. He knows. He's been here 4 years as head coach. So now he knows. So I just think that's a little different, but I do understand why, like, you just be to the point where, man, why even trust again?
Yeah. I mean, I hope he proves me wrong. Don't get me wrong there, but yeah, for me, I'm kind of taking I'll believe it when I see it type approach to it. Now, the only reason why I'm not completely like, yeah, right, Chauncey, you've said all this crap before, is because I do think, he showed enough to warrant not being completely that way. Whether you think he did a good job or was a big part of the late season success or the second half success, I mean, even if you don't think he had anything to do with it, if it was just the players playing better or whatever on their own, I still think he deserves a little bit of a chance to prove otherwise. So, and like you said, we'll know pretty fast next season, because it's not like you're going to have the excuse of, oh, we have to integrate Denny into our thing and he's off to a slow start or something like that. They are on the record saying, we now know what it takes and we're going to hit the ground running and all that kind of stuff they spewed. So you can't then use an excuse like, oh, we needed to install our offense and our defense for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even saying he's going to improve. I'm not going to be that bold with it. Mm-hmm. It's my final chance. And when I say shred of hope, I mean shred of hope. It's not a lot of hope, man. Like, I still am pretty reserved on his ability to coach an offense. But it's like, it would have been even worse if he sat here and said, like, no, I like the way we run our offense. You know, we would be raging about that. So it's something we'll just see next year. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be pissed off all offseason that they extended him. It's just like, all right, well, if you don't improve, then I'll be pissed off, and then I'll rant about it, and I'll have 82 post-game shows to do so. Or you improve, and we get to actually sound like some homers on a post-game show. You know? That would be cool. And we get to explain what you're doing differently. That would be great. And that's what I'm rooting for. So we'll just have to wait and see. Because the Blazers have to do more offensively unless they go and get, like, Giannis and Zion in the same offseason. You know? Like, that's not going to happen, obviously. So Chauncey definitely has to improve offensively.
He was at the Pistons game, too.
Yeah, he was at the Pistons game. He was at the Pistons game, which was interesting, just watching some playoff basketball. And speaking of people at games, Anfernee Simons was also at a Magic game. A Magic game. The team that has been supposed to trade for him for a while now. His hometown team, which is maybe the main reason why he was there. But could he have been watching his former teammates? Is that why he's there? Is that why he's smiling in this clip? Because he likes what he sees. Former, future, his future teammates. Is he watching his future teammates, chat? Is this something or is it nothing that Anfernee Simons was at a Magic playoff game?
I feel like he was at maybe even a Magic game last offseason too, or last playoffs too. But I don't know. I don't think it means nothing, but I don't think it means anything either, if that makes sense.
Wow. Chat, that is what we call a non-answer.
I don't think this means he's getting traded to Orlando by any stretch, but I do kind of find it interesting that he would show up to a game.
Yeah. So this made me think of something. You know how Cronin talked about planting seeds at the trade deadline for off-season trades?
Oh, man. Yeah.
So we just took that as like he's explaining the Denny thing. All right, go ahead.
Let me rephrase what you just said. He was led to an answer to excuse all his nothingness and kicking the can down the road by one Aaron Fentress, I believe. He was led to a conclusion that he was just setting himself up for a future trade. He didn't necessarily come out and say that. It was basically Fentress setting him up like, oh yeah, you do all these things just to set up the move for later, right?
Well, I mean, that's why this is Cronin's litmus test this offseason. It's time to make something happen. Because how did you set up something at the deadline if you then do nothing? You didn't set up anything. I do believe that, like, the Denny trade, Cronin had conversations that previous trade deadline, maybe about Denny Avdija, but it was, like, exploratory. Front offices have exploratory conversations all the time. There's assistants for a reason, right? And a lot of what these assistants will do is, like, come up with ideas, contact other front offices, kind of canvass the league, see what other teams are trying to do. Right? It's a lot more than just Joe Cronin is going to call the Wizards GM and say, hey, can we have Denny Avdija? What do you want for him? Like, there's a lot more that happens behind the scenes, behind front offices, in how they canvass and interact with the rest of the league, that I'm sure there was a little bit of groundwork done with Denny Avdija, the trade deadline before the Blazers ultimately traded for him. What that groundwork is, I have no idea. I'm sure that there was conversations that the Blazers had with potential Anfernee Simons landing spots at the deadline, where the Blazers kind of know what teams like Anfernee Simons, what they're willing to discuss in terms of negotiations. And, Cronin didn't pull the trigger at the deadline, but going into the offseason, like, he kind of knows where teams are at, and, maybe a team's willing to give up a little bit more, maybe Cronin's willing to budge a little bit, and whatever team was closest, where, maybe there was a team that was close to the finish line, they didn't pull it off, and both sides are willing to budge a little bit. Let's say it's the Orlando Magic after watching them struggle offensively in the playoffs. Like, maybe the Orlando Magic are finally just like, yeah, you know what, we need shooting, and we're done waiting. Simons would fit really well. Okay, we'll give up the 16th pick instead of the 25th pick. And maybe that's what Cronin is just waiting for, right? So that's the thing in terms of the conversation about planting seeds at the deadline is, it's more so like front offices talk and front offices know where other front offices are. And I'm sure Cronin has had conversations with teams about Anfernee Simons. And I'm sure that Orlando has been one of them. So what happens this offseason? I have no idea. Does that lead to anything? I have no idea. I do think Orlando struggling to score in the playoffs does make it a little bit more likely that they might pull off an Anfernee Simons trade this summer. I don't think Anfernee Simons going to a Magic game necessarily indicates that that's going to happen, but, maybe it is something. I don't know. I don't have an answer. That's why I asked you guys. That's why I asked chat. That's why I asked you. I don't got no answer. I don't know what it means. So we'll see. I think Orlando should absolutely trade for him. The package is debatable. The package is absolutely debatable, but I think Simons in a backcourt with Jalen Suggs next to Paulo and Franz would be a perfect fit. They're a good defense. They can cover for Ant. He's from there. It's just been a perfect fit. That's why we keep talking about the Orlando Magic and Anfernee Simons. We have been for over a year now, and then he spotted a game. It's like, yeah, can you just freaking make this happen already? Why has this not happened yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this again. This could change because the Magic obviously, I mean, if you were holding out hope that you didn't need this, it has to be painfully obvious now, right? They have to get a guard that can create or run the offense or something. They need a guard that can do something playmaking wise or shooting wise or scoring wise, right? They just need that player. They have to get it. Whether that's Anfernee or not remains to be seen. Everything I've heard in the past is that they've never even inquired or been interested in Anfernee Simons. Hopefully that is now
I just don't believe
changed
that.
Now that they have a clear need.
Yeah. I just don't know if I believe that.
I mean, it's weird because everyone always says that's his spot, that's his landing spot, but like, I don't know, it's never even been a rumor or anything.
Yeah, but I mean,
saying it.
Avdia wasn't a rumor before it happened. That came out of the blue, right? Like this
front
office.
Saying it can't happen. I'm just saying, like, they haven't. They have Suggs, Anthony Black. They signed Caldwell Pope. They have not. Have Cole Anthony still. They did not think Anfernee Simons was a need for them or someone that would make them.
I just don't think you'd hear about it before it happens. I don't think because we haven't heard about it, it means anything.
But I mean, you could have said that all last summer too.
Said what?
Oh, we're not going to hear about it until it happens.
Yeah, like we didn't hear about the Avdia trade before it happened. We did hear about the Grant trade before it happened, but that's because he was working out with Dame 2 months prior, right? And there was like whispers ahead of time. I just don't like this front office under Olshey and under Joe Cronin. I think has done a good job of controlling information as well as controlling their PR and controlling the messaging. And it's not like we have local guys that's going to like leak stuff or report much. So if there was ever going to be interest leaked, it would be from Orlando's side. But I don't know. Like, I feel like we never hear a whole lot about the Magic either. So ultimately, I think maybe the Magic have not been aggressive in pursuing Anfernee Simons, especially when Joe Cronin is a guy that it seems like you have to be aggressive in terms of trying to buy one of his players. It seems like Cronin holds a steep price, and we've talked about it. He doesn't seem to budge a whole lot, and you either match that price or you don't. So if a team's not aggressive in terms of meeting that price, there's basically no conversations there, and you're probably not going to hear anything. So I think it's something where that could absolutely be the case this offseason, but it could also be the case where it's like, yeah, Orlando's has had some interest. They just haven't been willing to meet Cronin's asking price, and then they're finally just like, you know what, all right, we'll give up a little bit more. We need scoring, and Cronin maybe is willing to give up a little bit less because Anfernee's entering the final year of his deal, and he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next offseason. And then that's what bridges the gaps, so both parties meet in the middle, and it pulls something off. So that's why I don't think necessarily not hearing anything in the past is indicative of it not having a chance to happen or anything like that.
Let me make this clear. I'm not saying not hearing anything is the reason. It's, I mean, you could say about any single player in any trade ever. Like you could just say nothing was heard about it. So, or any player you could say that about. But I specifically have heard that the Magic were not interested in Anfernee Simons. That's different than saying you would just don't hear about it until it happens. So
yeah, I just don't necessarily.
Change.
Yeah, it just depends on what you mean by interested.
Yeah.
Like,
and Alex Wolf says that Zach Lowe said that Orlando's GM doesn't initiate trades, just opens the phones. So I don't know what that means. But
that means they're not interested in anyone, and Joe Cronin has to go to them. Right. But that's the thing is Joe Cronin also kind of operates that way. So it's like,
right. So that's why there hasn't been any interest in the past too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because just logically he makes so much sense there that I refuse to believe that it's just like they have absolutely zero interest in him. Now, maybe their interest is low to the point where they're never going to trade for him because they're never going to meet Cronin's asking price. That is very possible. But
go
ahead. Well, I just think it makes a lot of logical sense, and if that's the way Orlando operates and that's the way Portland operates, they're never going to talk.
Well, it's like people are bringing up the reason why. It's just that hasn't been the type of guy they've gone for with this current front office. So, like,
and that is biting them in the ass right now.
It is, yes, but
so does that change them? Potentially, it should.
Does it change for them to open it up for someone like Anfernee Simons, or do they make a bigger splash for someone who can do that but can also play defense or whatever? Like, I don't know who that is. I'm just wondering if they set their sights on someone bigger than, if that's the case.
So it's like
what if they go after Jaw or something? Like, I know that doesn't fit, but like
it doesn't fit. But also they seem to be a little risk averse, right? Like, especially if their GM is not aggressive, Ant's gonna cost or should cost a lot less than Ja Morant or whoever else. With Ant being such a perfect fit for what he should cost, which is a decently low price in my opinion, entering the final year of his contract, given that I think he absolutely would reside in his hometown, I think that makes more sense than them giving up a ton of assets for, I don't know, like who? I can't even think of anybody that fits that archetype. You know, like maybe Kobe White is available this offseason, but he's the Ant archetype. And I think he might cost a little bit more. And he's also entering the final year of his contract. I think it would be less likely for him to stay. So, yeah, I mean, like, of course, with any team, it's always like, yeah, maybe they find a better player they like more and they trade for that guy instead. Here's the thing. They could trade for that guy, and then also I still think trade for Anfernee Simons. They need that. Yeah. They need more than one guy that can shoot. So they could pull a swing and then have Anfernee as a sixth man. I think Anfernee would be great there as a sixth man.
they just built their offense. I mean, I guess you could say if you replace Cole Anthony position with him, like this kind of defeats this argument. But like, I think they, up until this point, have built their team a certain way, and I think they believe bringing in, because I mean that's why they went after KCP last offseason so heavily and gave him such a big fat contract, is they want to continue to go that route. Kind of similar to the Blazers, how they keep talking about this identity on defense and how that has to be our calling card. I wonder at what point do they realize they do need someone who can hit some tough shots and score and stuff like that, other than their forwards.
Yeah.
But like someone to help space the floor, someone with gravity, those kind of things. And to think how much easier that would make the game for those guys. But up until this point, they've only gone after guys that fit their current mold and that they don't think will lower their defensive prowess if they include them in their core. So
and ultimately they're gonna have to have an epiphany, like
right,
you
yeah.
know.
I'm just wondering if that epiphany is going to come or not. Like
it might not. It might not, but it should. And Elizabeth Allen says they're superstars in year 3. Nothing is biting them in the ass. They have to be aiming for his and Franz's prime, not rookie year deals. Nothing is biting them in the ass implies that they should not care about actually winning playoff series right now when they're actually in the playoffs, which makes 0 sense to me. They are down 3-1 against the Boston Celtics, but 2 of those losses have been single-digit losses in games where they're playing like Corey Joseph and Gary Harris legitimate minutes. You know, like I'm looking at this series and it's almost like, man, if they had Ant and like Ant had a couple of good games shooting the ball, like they could be up 3-1 over the defending champs. Like that's how much I think a shooter could potentially help them. I think they have the defensive guys to cover for Ant, and it's like they don't even have Jalen Suggs healthy this series, so it's like,
well, but if they did, I mean, you even said it earlier, it's probably 2-2, right? So like maybe that's how they're looking at it. Like just get Suggs healthy and we're fine.
I mean, but you still don't have enough offense. Like you still need offense. You still need to be better. And that is, shooting is something they're sorely missing. They could be tied 2-2, but shooting is something they're missing. And you're playing Corey Joseph, like Gary Harris, sure, maybe, you know, you only play one of those 2 guys. But it's not like KCP has been good this year either. He's a good role player. You have a ton of defenders. You have an insane amount of defenders. You can bring in a guy like a Kobe White or an Anfernee Simons, and they're going to give you a boost offensively. You could still be a elite defense with them on the floor because of all the defense you have. Now, you do need to figure out the center spot. I think that's the 2 things for them. Get a guy like an Ant and try and upgrade their center spot, and then they could be like a dark horse contender if Paolo and Franz continue to improve as soon as next year. And saying just because those guys are young, they shouldn't care about that is blasphemy to me. If you got a chance to have a really long window that starts next year, you take it, especially with a guy like Ant who fits in with what you need and is young enough to fit that timeline.
Yeah, but I think you could make the argument that they're only in these games because they're holding Boston down scoring wise. So like the trade-off is, are you going to allow is it going to be offset by what you allow a team like Boston to score?
I mean, I think they have so many defenders that it's not going to be much of a difference, man.
Yeah.
Like, they got all sorts of guys that can cover for Ant. You know, like, all sorts of guys. Also, it's like you bring him in there and you get him under different coach, see if you can improve anything defensively. But, I mean, assuming you don't, it's like, all right, if you need stops late in the game and Ant doesn't have it going, you don't have to play him. And just rely on your defense like you normally do. Or Ant gets hot. When Ant gets hot, he can completely change a game. Completely change an offense. So if he's hot, You roll with him, you let him get 30, and he's going to provide more to their offense than he's going to hurt their defense. And if he's not shooting the ball well, okay, you don't play him 30 minutes. You could play him 20 in a playoff series and just roll with an all-defense lineup if that's what you want to do. You need options. And the problem is they currently have no options offensively to, like, take that offense to the next level. I also think they need, like, another combo guard that can initiate some offense. I think that the problem has been Franz and Paulo have had to initiate too much offense and bring the ball down the court, and it kind of gets a little ISO heavy with them initiating offense. I think Ant could help with that, but ultimately he can play off them, and that's the type of guy you want. Somebody that can excel off those guys and then initiate a little offense and shoot the three and get hot offensively and provide them a spark.
Yeah.
Let me be Joe Cronin's assistant GM. I will pitch Anfernee Simons like hell to the Orlando Magic, man. I will get that 16th pick and Anthony Black too. Well, that's maybe a little ambitious, but like let me pitch him, man. I'll pitch him.
Good luck.
I'll pitch him. I got y'all, man. But so what's your price that you're not budging beneath from them for a trade?
I don't necessarily have a price with Anfernee anymore.
Okay, I'm Orlando's GM. All right, what do you want for him? Mr. Brandt, best GM in the league.
I don't want to trade with Orlando, so I probably ask for 16 and 25 or whatever picks they have.
We'll give you 16 in 2 seconds.
Nope.
All right, have fun wasting Scoot's pride. Hangs up phone.
Cool.
Slams phone down. Calls up Chicago. Asks what they want for Kobe White.
Yep.
Probably get hung up on again and then think about calling up Miami like, hey, you guys ready to rebuild? Oh, no, it's Pat Riley. He doesn't have time for that. And we don't want Tyler Hero. He was 1 for 10 with 4 points today in an elimination game. No, thank you. No, thank you. Anyway, fun conversation. Would you take 25 in seconds? I want 16. I think 25. I don't know. At the end of the day, I've said this, so I'll say this quickly. Like, at some point, you should start Scoot and Sharp. Ant's going to be an unrestricted free agent next offseason. Like, at some point, it just makes sense to move him for whatever the best package you can get is and move forward with Scoot and Sharp. Like, and I think those guys are going to be good enough in a couple years where it's like, yeah, obviously that was the right move. Like, obviously we needed to do that. But I also think, like, I don't know, Scoot coming off the bench for 2 more years I think is ridiculous. So it's just like, what is your plan? Is your plan to trade Scoot then? Like, I think your plan has to be to trade one of the guards. Or turn Ant into a 6-man. I don't like that plan for the Blazers. So, like, I think your plan has to be you're either trading Ant or maybe you're trading Scoot, the 10th pick, and Jeremy Grant to New Orleans for Zion.
Yeah. To be clear to everyone in chat, okay, I'm not saying Anfernee's worth 2 picks. I'm saying from Orlando, that's the only thing I want. I don't like any of their players coming back for us. I don't like their package. And when you're trading Anfernee, he's an expiring contract. So getting expirings back for him isn't the same as like when we talk about Jeremy Grant trades and expiring contracts and what that would do for us moving forward.
Yeah, but I mean the only way Ant's in the same boat is the expiring contracts you bring back is if you actually plan on just letting them walk, right? Because it's like any expiring contracts the Blazers get back, it's like, okay, they expire at the end of the year, the Blazers have that flexibility, have that cap space. With Ant, it's like if you keep him, you should absolutely re-sign him. So that's the tough part. Is like
Yeah.
would the flexibility, like some of the cap space plus the asset, could that turn into more to be worth it for Ant? That's why I don't think it's all just about the initial deal itself either.
Yeah. And I'll say this again for Blaze the Nugs. I did not say that 2 first for Ant is what the Blazers should get or what his value is. I do not think that they're going to get 2 first. They are not going to get 2 first. Please stop saying that, for frick's sake. We are talking about, he said specifically to Orlando. I do not like the trade packages from Orlando. So, like, I would ask for both first. And I don't think 16 and 25, I mean, like, who cares if you're Orlando? Like, I think you could maybe get both of them.
Why don't you like the trade packages from Orlando? I just want expirings.
Once again, I want someone that could be like our backup point guard or like, our, like find someone that can help for the time being, or someone who we can recoup some value for and pull a OKC and retrade for more value than we got him for.
Yeah, I mean the OKC thing is like an outlier.
I know, but like, I don't think there's any of those guys on Orlando.
Yeah, I don't think there is either. But also, it's like you save $7 million, you can go find that guy with a full mid-level exception. Mm-hmm. Whereas with their contracts going into this offseason, I don't know. I still think they have enough room to use a full mid-level exception, but then they get close to the tax, and then that hurts them making potentially unbalanced trades where they're gaining salary mid-season. That might make sense. It just limits their options. So that's the thing, is like in an Ant trade, I want the draft capital. If a team has a good young player or a meaningful player, sure, that's great. But at the end of the day, it's like, all right, if you save the money, so let's say it's for Cole Anthony and Gary Harris, which I think is within $7.5 million, so I think it works. If it's like Gary Harris and Cole Anthony, they're both expiring contracts next year. Maybe you flip Cole Anthony somewhere. Like maybe you flip Cole Anthony for Maxi Kleber. I don't know. Like maybe the Lakers would do that, right? If they can't figure out anything else. I'm not sure. But figure it out. Whatever. You get expirings back. You save $7.5 million. You can go use an MLE and still have enough space below the tax where you can gain salary in trades and not flirt with the tax. And then you let those contracts expire next offseason. You add another pick to your core, so your 10th pick and 16th pick. You add those two guys to your 5-man core of Sharp, Scoot, Avdia, Kamara, Klingon. So now you have a 7-man young core. Hopefully they hit on both picks. And then you go into next season, you let those guys expire, and you have like $75 million, $80 million in cap space or whatever it is, if you can trade Jeremy Grant. If you can't, you have, I don't know, 50-ish million. That's still a lot of space. Still a lot of space, and it's like, I don't know. I like moving forward with that conviction that, like, we're just going to start Scoot and Sharp. We're going to continue to try and add young talent to this core, and we want flexibility this trade deadline and next offseason. And we're actually going to do something in free agency with an MLE this year, which we haven't done in years. So that's why I'm a little more like, all right, I'm down to do it for a little bit less, I think.
Yeah. Makes sense.
These are the type of trade conversations too that I think are more realistic, because no offense, chat, I've seen some stuff in chat lately that's just like, that's not, there's no way in hell a team considers that. Like Adam Smith says, sorry Adam, to not try to pick on you, but he says, I'd be down with a Grant and 10th pick package for a young rising player. Well, you're not going to get a better young player than the 10th pick for a young rising player, because Grant is a negative value. So, like, who would you target, In
that situation, you're better off just hoping the number 10 pick is that rising player.
Yeah. Like, because I don't think you're going to get a better young player by including Jeremy Grant's awful contract. So that's the thing. I think you guys have to look at Jeremy Grant's trades in terms of him being a negative value and taking away from what the Blazers could get back. Unless it's to a team that's absolutely desperate and has maybe a little better contract for a little worse player in their eyes, like a Kyle Kuzma, that you could flip Grant for, and then you can flip Kuzma somewhere else and like get off his contract. That's the only way to not view Grant as a negative contract. But speaking of the Bucks, all right, let's get to this. Speaking of
you want to do your other trade? Your locked-on trade?
No, that was the Scoot and Zion or the Scoot 10 and well, okay, here's my question for you. Which would you rather take? Half of chat's probably going to be upset with either answer. So I'm just
You don't want to ask me this.
I do want to ask you this because I don't know what I'd answer. Well, actually, I do know what I'd answer. Would you rather trade Scoot 10 and Grant for Zion or trade Ant for 16 and Cole Anthony and Gary Harris?
Scoot for Zion? I don't know.
I can understand either answer, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll do a chat poll. Which trade would you rather do? Simons for 16, Anthony, and, well, I'll say Cole Anthony so nobody thinks Anthony Black. Cole Anthony and Gary Harris.
Arrow.
Or
Arrow's drunk.
Let's go. Scoot in 10. Yeah. Scoot 10. Wait, Scoot.
In before he says he is, right?
Yeah. All right. There, I finally typed out the poll. ASMR is over. Yeah, vote in the poll. You'd rather do the Zion trade?
I don't know.
It's tough. I'll say this about Zion. Like, outside of, is this the right time for the Blazers to be aggressive and that conversation, we're not even going to have that conversation. And it's not even going to be a conversation about Zion's health or off-court ways or anything like that. If healthy, I don't know if this is the best team to have around Zion. I feel like you need shooting around Zion, and we have everything but that. You know? Like, I don't know if, like, Avdija is best playing off of Zion. I don't know. Like, their pick and roll could be deadly, I guess. It's just, like, Zion next to Klingon. I'd prefer Zion next to a stretch 5. And it's not like we have shooting across the roster. I think if you make a Zion trade, then all of a sudden we start having some tough conversations about young players on this team and how they fit into a Zion team going forward. Now that conversation is even tougher to have because it's like, it's only a Zion team for 35% of the time at best most seasons. So is it even a Zion team? But if you're trading for Zion, you're hoping he's healthy. So it's like, is Klingon the right center long-term next to Zion? I don't know. Defensively, sure, of course. But offensively? You know, like, that's the problem with trading for Zion, I think. I just don't think what we have fits well around him.
Yeah, I agree. And you don't want to, like, transform your whole lineup around him.
Yeah.
Because what happens when then he's out a bunch of games. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if he was healthy, if he didn't have health issues, I'd do that trade for sure. For sure. Because then you're getting a guy that's, when he's healthy, like a top 15 player, all right, you get that guy and you figure out the rest later. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But there's too many red flags to do that with him. So I'm not in on Zion at all. If it was just one pick and like Grant, I'll do it and say like, yeah, well, maybe we can flip Zion for an expiring and get off Grant's contract. Like, you know, that's the conversation. With Scoot, I'm still a Scoot believer. I think that's the guy they'd want. We talked a lot about the third pick to New Orleans around that draft a couple years ago. I'm not in on Zion. I'm not in on Zion at all. I think
Yeah,
there's just too many red flags, too much baggage, too many issues with how he'd even fit to give up on the upside of Scoot. And that's just where I'm at. So I know some fans are at the point where they want to explore trading Scoot for an upgrade. I still don't think that increases the Blazers' upside to win a championship down the road. Even if it's for a guy like Zion. I just don't think it's going to work out.
Yeah, there's maybe a handful of guys that you could make that argument for, but yeah.
Like, they got to be like a top 15 player without that baggage, red flags, you know what I mean? Like,
well, like if we're talking about our next subject, maybe you could justify it in that situation.
yeah, so before we jump into the subject, like, what situation are you talking about?
The Bucks.
Yeah, so like Scoot for who? For Giannis?
Like if we're making
yeah.
like a huge play there and they wanted Scoot over Sharp or
Yeah.
both of them, like,
Yeah, like the pipe dream I was talking about.
yeah.
Yeah. You do that because you're getting a superstar.
And once again, before I hear people say it in comments, I'm not saying the Bucks would trade Giannis for Scoot. I'm just saying I agree with what Tori's saying, other than if we had to include him to get a massive upgrade like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like if Giannis becomes available and Bucks want control of their future, and you can maybe have a conversation there. I don't know if the Blazers will win that trade war. There's rumors that San Antonio is going to go after Giannis. We'll talk about the injury in a second, like, because I do want to give some words on like Dame himself. But like Dame tore his Achilles. If you didn't know, now you know. Okay, we'll talk about it. The Bucks are going to face a really tough offseason. They're staring at, I think, next season, a full season without Dame. Giannis, if he misses any time, that becomes like a bottom 5 team in the league. Maybe a bottom 3 team in the league. Like, I don't know. The Bucks without Dame and Giannis next year, are they any better than the Wizards?
Well, it might depend on who they get for those guys or what happens, but probably not.
I'm just saying, like, if they ran it back without Dame, like Giannis has to be healthy all season for them to even like scratch into the play-in. Giannis is going to have to absolutely carry that team. We've seen him get injured like pretty much every season, and him carrying that load, I don't know if he can for a whole season. They have no assets to get better. They are completely stuck, Eric, in an awful position. I said that before this injury, and then this injury, of course, just heartbreaking for Dame, heartbreaking for the Bucks. They are now in a position where they're going to have to answer some questions this offseason, man. Like, do you still try and make this work? How can you still try and make this work? But how do you rebuild if you don't have your own picks? What is the answer for them, Eric?
Yeah, dude. Well, did you see Bleacher Report's answer?
No. Trade for Chris Middleton back?
Stupid.
Give up less than
Bleacher Report had them trading Kuzma and Pat Connaughton and a second-round pick back to Washington for Chris Middleton this offseason. Like, what?
Yeah, after they gave up Chris Middleton and a first-round pick for...
I mean, maybe Horst would do that, but... Like,
that was such a terrible trade, dude.
Come on, guys. Are you really that... I mean, they shouldn't have traded for Kuzma anyways. Man. Yeah.
Gray, you're thinking of amnesty. That's not a thing anymore. Yeah, what should they do? What do they do?
Well, I mean, they're pretty much screwed next year. I mean, they did play okay for a stretch without Dame. Like Kevin Porter Jr. was okay for them when Dame was out, and got to like run the show a little bit. But like I don't know how you fix it. I mean, that's a situation that's going to be really tough for our mock off season GM. I see there was a thing that showed they don't not a single pick between now and 2031 do they control,
Yeah.
and it's different teams. Like the Pelicans own their next 3 years basically, and then we own the three after that. So I guess you could try to trade with one of those two teams.
Zion and their picks back for Giannis?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
But like Giannis, would he want to go to New Orleans? Like,
Yeah, would he stay?
in place
I
of,
don't know.
I mean, if you had Giannis, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, whatever you get for CJ McCollum, Uzumisi, like that's probably a better supporting cast. He doesn't
Yeah.
have that co-star necessarily, but that's a better supporting cast for sure, a deeper team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Milwaukee could at least rebuild properly. That would kind of suck for the Blazers, dude. Like, they get Zion, and, like, let's say Zion pans out, and then they get their own picks, and they rebuild, and then by the time 2028 comes around, they're like a playoff team again. That would be the Blazers' luck. But, yeah, I don't know what they do. They're going to be fascinating to watch. And it matters for Portland because in 2028, Portland starts controlling their picks. We have to hope they're really bad in 2028.
See, I was thinking about this. I mean, I was goofing around with Portland as this team,
Yeah.
but I guess Milwaukee could just do this. And another team, if they traded for Dame, could also do this, what I'm about to suggest. And that's if you know you're going to be okay next year or like not necessarily a contender, would you take a year off, be really bad, and then have Dame come back that next year at a top pick in a loaded 2026 draft, and then just start making moves around that? I don't know if the Bucks could be bad enough unless Giannis sat out too, but
I don't know. Just not knowing how Dame comes back from this.
I mean, they don't have their picks, so they don't have.
Yeah,
so.
plan, something in accordance with, like, him, unfortunately.
No, I'm not saying him as like a main piece. I'm just saying like in the Portland example. So Portland, let's just say Portland traded Grant and Ayton or something for Dame. Like, so I know like the contracts there'd probably have to be someone else from there and coming back.
No, it's pretty close. It's pretty close, actually.
So let's just say we did that, right? And we have Dame out all next year. And then the Blazers return to the young core, right? Maybe we do that Orlando trade with Simons. And the young five play pretty well, but it's not quite as good as this year just because we don't have the depth, we had this year with like that we basically have no bench or our bench is all rookies or whatever. But they show good growth. It just is a little disappointing year record wise. Okay. And we get a top pick in 2026 and then you have Dame coming back slowly and maybe being like a six man the rest of his career. But you still have your core with a top 2026 pick and Dame off the bench or something as he ends the last few years of his career. I don't know. That starts to be like, okay, like maybe we'd be cooking there. But it would kind of suck to go through another year of taken a step back before we took a step forward. And I don't think the front office would do that anyway, but.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm having a conversation in chat. No, somebody said 90% sure Dame's retiring. Chris Haynes literally said today that Dame's in good spirits and going to attack his rehab. Why would he be attacking his rehab if he's going to retire? Like, come on. But also, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Like, if you trade Grant for him, how many years does Dame have left on his contract, assuming he picks up his player option?
2.
I mean, Grant has 3 years, like 32, 34, 36 million or whatever it is the last 3 years.
Yeah, so basically be just taking
a bad 3-year contract and trading it
for like a huge lump sum in the second year.
Yeah.
And get nothing next year.
But like you could make the argument that like salary-wise that makes sense for the Blazers to do if they can't get off Grant.
Yeah.
And have Dame as a mentor that doesn't play, but like have him mentor Scoot, for a year. Like you could make the argument that that could be just as beneficial as keeping Grant around this team on his bad contract.
And Brooke is a free agent, so could you talk them into Ayton? And then if they have Ayton, Grant, Giannis, and as their front court with Kuzma off the bench, like, so weird. But I don't know. You make one good move, and you get some sort of guard in there. Like I don't think that's that bad for Milwaukee to kind of regroup. I think they need to move on from Brooke.
Yeah. That would be infuriating to watch.
I know. I wouldn't wish that upon them, but I'm just saying, like, what else? Yeah. What else better?
What else are they gonna do? What else are they gonna do? Like they get 2 guys that have, could be starters for them next to Giannis. Like they watched Ayton start against them in the finals, so. And if you're in Portland's case, you clear up those rotation spots. You clear up that 3rd year of Grant's salary. Yes, you take on salary for year 2. Year 1, it's a wash because it's Ayton and Grant. And then Ayton comes off the books. Grant has 2 more years. Dame would have a year left. So, yeah, it's just like Eric said, a lump sum of that second year. I don't know. Like, you make the sense that makes sense salary-wise for the Blazers, and that Dame being here as a mentor could be good for Scoot. And, then Dame comes back next year, like, maybe he is a bench player. Maybe he returns to legitimate all-star form and has a good team around him. Like, whatever happens, happens. Like, and you just take that and go with it. Like, I don't hate that idea. I really don't. So that's something that if that's on the table and you can't find a better way to offload Grant, that is something I'd explore. But at the end of the day, Eric, if Giannis does become available this offseason, should the Blazers pursue him? Like, let's say he's open to coming to Portland with, like, Dame, and it's a huge trade. Like, should Portland be open to that?
I think you offer the picks back to them and you try to find out what players they would accept back. If you have to give up the picks and Scoot and Sharp and maybe one of Denny or Tamani, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's getting too much.
I probably do it still because it's honest, but like
you're kind of putting yourself in the same position as the Bucks.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, we'd still, other than the stupid Chicago pick, we control all our own picks still, so we could still make better moves than they did to build a win around them. But then you're trusting your front office to build a winner instead of tearing it down. But yeah, so I think you gotta kind of explore it, especially since we do control part of their future. I don't know how much you go all in for it.
I think pick-wise, you can justify it. You try and keep as many players as possible.
Yeah.
I think, you know what's interesting is if the Pelicans really want Scoot, like there's whispers before about them wanting Scoot, like they still may like Scoot. I don't know. They have a new front office, so who knows. But like, let's say they have some interest in Scoot. Can you flip Scoot to New Orleans and get them even more of their picks back, and then they can just start a pure rebuild and have their own picks plus, something extra to start their rebuild with? Like, would that be enticing to them if they just get back control of their future? I don't know. Like,
I mean, if you can get Giannis without giving up much in terms of the core five, like maybe if you got Giannis with only giving up one of the core five, I think you absolutely have to.
Yeah, you give up as many picks as you need to, and yeah, absolutely. Like, Scoot, maybe Sharp, I don't know. Like, I would, if you get Giannis, I would almost rather give up Scoot than Tamani.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, all right, you finally have your superstar, so you need guys like Tamani around that superstar. Whereas, like, in a vacuum, I'd probably rather have Scoot just because of the upside, and we need a superstar. Like, we need a star going forward, and Scoot has a better chance of being that than Tamani, even though it's low for both of them, obviously.
I'm ready to get killed in chat, but Anfernee, I think, fits better with Giannis than Scoot does, too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trading for Giannis, you're going for it. Like,
yeah.
So the calculus becomes different. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, you're getting a top 3 player in the world. Only certain types of Blazer fans could sit there and be like, no, I like our 2 solid starters more than a top 3 player in the world. I'm not doing that. Like, it's homerism. It's homerism. Like, if they straight up wanted Kamara and Avdia, and then, just because that was brought up in chat, and you say no to that, like, and Giannis would want to be here, like, I think that's kind of crazy. Now, the salary doesn't work, so it's a moot point, but let's say you throw in, like, Grant, Ayton, whatever. Like, you get a chance to bring in a top 3 player in the world that's led a team to the finals before, compared to going down this road where it's like the Blazers don't seem to have a clear path towards contention long term. You'd be silly not to explore that. Like, you'd be silly to turn your nose up at that. Absolutely. And listen, some fans just love the players that are on the team because they play hard and they play team basketball despite having the 3rd worst assist percentage and playing an ISO all the time. We play more isolation basketball than we used to with Dame, but they have the idea that it's a team-based offense. They play like a team. And some fans would rather have that than contention, I guess, which is fine. Like, if you just rather have a style of basketball you like than win a championship, like, okay, fine. But I want this team to win a championship. I want this team to go for championships. I want this team to contend. That's what I am rooting for long term. Like, if you had a chance to get Giannis for a package that made sense, where you could look at this team going into next year and say it's a contender, I don't know how you say no to that, just for the off chance that somehow this rebuild, as currently constructed, turns into a contender. Every move they should make should be to maximize their odds of winning a championship in the next decade. That should 1,000% be the calculus and be the baseline behind every move, is what gives them the best chance to win a championship in the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see if anybody disagrees with that. Does anybody disagree with that? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comment section if you're watching back the stream afterwards. Let me know if you disagree with that calculus. While you do that, let's talk about the injury. Absolutely heartbreaking. The Bucks just have gotten no luck, and Dame, after sticking it out in Portland year after year after year after year after year, Portland never giving him a chance to contend. He finally gets traded to a team where he has a legitimate superstar teammate, but that superstar teammate in year one isn't healthy, and then Dame year two has the blood clots, comes back from that miraculous comeback, and then tears his Achilles. It's an absolutely heartbreaking thing, man. Heartbreaking thing. Like him at his age too, it's going to be a battle. If there's anybody that can come back strong from it, I would think it's Damian Lillard. You know, I think he will come back and play multiple seasons after this. It's just obviously heartbreaking because it's still like, man, he's never really gotten a fair chance. He didn't get the team in Portland, and then in Milwaukee, he has had terrible luck with Giannis getting injured. Dame dealt with some injury stuff last year, and now Dame gets injured. Well, blood clots is an injury, and then he deals with a devastating Achilles tear, man. One of the worst injuries to deal with playing basketball. Like, it was very upsetting for me. Like, the Blazers drafted Dame in high school, man. Like, I kind of, like he was the Blazers for me. It still feels a little weird without him. But of course, just wanted to see him successful and have a chance to win a ring. He deserves it. And to have it taken away from him in this fashion is definitely heartbreaking, definitely brutal. So, Eric, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, dude, I felt so bad for Dame. It sucks, man. And knowing it's an Achilles, no, there's him and Kyrie are hurt for probably going to be a portion of next year. Dame's case, probably all of next year. Dame's getting up there in age, so it's not easy to come back from that injury, and then it's taken a year out of that last little part of his prime too. So just sucks, man. And to see him come back and play after it seemed like he was probably going to miss the rest of the season when they announced the blood clot thing was really cool, even though he was rusty. But yeah, just it kind of sucked, man. It kind of, I mean, obviously it wasn't the Blazers, so it wasn't to this level, but it really kind of felt like the Wes Matthews and Nurkic injuries to me. Like it was like, oh man, not this. Like,
yeah, it's, I don't know. Like, I barely know an NBA without Damian Lillard in it. Like I started watching the league in 2006 when I was 9 years old, man. They drafted Dame when I had just turned 16. I just turned 16. And I loved the pick. Absolutely loved the pick. And man, like, it's just, we know he's getting up there in age, but this, like, really kind of sets that in stone in a way that is kind of depressing. Because he's going to be 36 most likely when he returns to a court. I mean, I still think he'll be able to come back and be a good NBA player. One thing that really disappointed me yesterday was like how many Dame fans and Blazer fans, and I understand this is just coping with the disappointment of it all, but like immediately just like his career's done, he's done. Like, the dude gets hurt, and within 10, 15 minutes, I see a lot of Blazer and Dame fans just automatically writing off the rest of his career as if he can't battle back from this. And it's like, dude, it's Damian Lillard, man. Like, he's going to battle back from this. He's still one of the greatest shooters ever. And that's going to make it so he can come back and still be a good NBA player. You know, maybe he won't be the same Dame, but his career is not over unless he decides for it to be over. But I don't think he's going to decide that. Chris Haynes says he's in good spirits and going to attack his rehab, right? So that like legitimately bothered me. The people saying like his career is over, he's done. Like, it's almost like they don't know Damian Lillard, man. So yeah, that disappointed me too.
Yeah, I mean, I do get it. He's going to be 36 by the time he gets back. Coming off an Achilles injury at that point of your career, it's never easy. KD is like the only player in sports history that's even been somewhat good at that age after suffering that injury, and his was at 30. It wasn't at 35. So I do get why people say that. What always bothers me is the people like, he needs to retire. Like, what? Like, why does anyone else get to decide when someone else hangs it up or whatever? Like, even if they're hanging on and they're a shell of what they used to be, like, that's not your place to say when they should retire or not. Like,
yeah, I need to get off social media sometimes, man, because like just some things people say and do just legitimately piss me off. And that's one of those things where it's like, it's a very normal thing on social media, and it's like, there's a lot worse stuff on social media, but reading that type of stuff, like, legitimately pisses me off. Mm-hmm. Because you're 100% right. Like, it's not your place to tell him when he should hang it up. The dude just suffered a catastrophic injury. Why are you telling him when he should be done? It just makes you look like an asshole. Makes you look like a complete asshole. Wish him well. He just suffered a catastrophic injury. Like, if he wants to battle back from that, I applaud that. I respect that. That is the tougher thing to do. I think it'd be easier for Dame to just be like, you know what, I got hundreds of millions in the bank. Like, I've had a good career, you know. It's, this injury sucks. Like, I'm just going to give up. But that's not Dame, and that's why I love Dame, man. Like, that's not Dame. That is not him. So if you're a fan of him saying that type of stuff, it's like you're telling him to be somebody he's not. It's just stupid, and it's not your place. Applaud what he's done. Like, he attacks his rehab, like, applaud his decision to do that. If he wants to retire, applaud that decision to do that. Like, respect his decision. It's his decision. It ain't yours. So, but that's just the type of stuff you see on social media that just completely pisses me off, man. And it's why I should probably spend less time on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And if we're being honest, realistic, yeah, it's probably coming back. If he's 36 off an Achilles tear, it's going to be tough for him to be the same player. But also, he's an elite shooter.
But he was already kind of showing signs of not being the same player.
I mean,
all the time. So,
I mean, he was still.
No, I mean, he's still really good. I'm just saying, like, he's definitely on the down slope of his.
Well, of course, he's 34, but like he's still averaged 25 and 7.
Yeah, no,
he's still, like, that's still really good, and it's also in an offense where it's like he's taking a backseat to Giannis, So yeah, like, he showed some signs, but also I think some of it's the offense. He's still really, really good. If he comes back and is just an elite volume shooter and really smart pick and roll player, that's still a good NBA player. I think he'll come back. I don't know, if he'll be all-star caliber again. I think he'll come back. If he returns late next season, I think it'll be rough. But let's say the season after that, I think he'll still be a good NBA player.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, I know Steph hasn't dealt with this injury, but he's 37. He's still, like,
Yeah.
arguably a top 10 player in the league because he's such an elite shooter.
Yeah.
Like, that takes you a long way. And Dame's still going to be able to shoot. And he's still going to be one of the smartest pick-and-roll guards in the league. And the league is dominated by pick-and-roll. The league is dominated by pick-and-roll and threes. He's still going to be able to do that at a high level. So...
Klay Thompson this year?
What about Klay Thompson?
Is that a good comparison?
I mean, Klay Thompson was never a pick-and-roll ball handler. You know what I mean? He was just a shooter. But he's 39% from three this year. And Klay Thompson had 2 injuries. Right? It was Achilles, then ACL. Then he came back.
Yeah.
He still averaged 20 a game in 29 minutes this season he came back. He was younger. But, I don't think he's done yet. I still think he'll have a couple of good years after he comes back. I'm excited for that to happen. And yeah, I think a lot of the talk around him after the injury was just freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, but good luck to Dame. Hopefully it comes back strong. I got kind of worried too with blood clots and surgeries and all that stuff. Hopefully that's not, because is there like a risk of having surgery, or now that his blood clot's gone, is that not something to worry about? Like, I don't know how that works exactly, but
Yeah, I don't know.
all I know is that there's a lot of people like Jerome Kersey, rest in peace, that have blood clot issues right after a surgery that could be potentially fatal. So hopefully it's not a situation where you can't even get a surgery because of the blood clot situation.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully that's not an issue. Connor sums up my thoughts pretty well. He says, Dame's not going to have the same agility or first step, but he's still going to be a good passer and playmaker. Yeah, and shooter. He's a crafty below the rim finisher. Like, he'll find ways. He'll absolutely find a way, like, to come back and be solid. So, yeah, his career's not over, like, unless he wants it to be. So, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I was very sad last night, this morning, man. Like,
Yeah.
I do hope to see him in a Blazer uniform on the floor before his career's over. I still hold on to that. I think as he ages, ultimately, like, I think he could be a really good six-man. Like, I think when he returns, he should probably be a starter somewhere. I still think he'll be good enough to be a starter, but, let's say he returns, plays another season or two, comes back as a Blazer, is a good six-man behind Scoot and Sharp. Like, that's kind of my dream, and that team somehow wins a championship. Like, that is my dream, man. That is my dream. I know it's just a dream and extremely unlikely to happen, but that's what I hope for. Because anything else just doesn't feel right, Anything else just doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with this dude. All right. Anyway, any other thoughts on... Sorry, chat's just annoying me. Any other thoughts on Dame?
Just hope his surgery goes well and rehab goes well and all that. Just bummer losing a year when he's already that age.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. Let's end the stream with something a little less heavy. A little 5 minutes here. Let's end the stream with something a little less heavy. I'll answer any questions you guys have for me. I'll read off any comments. Rip City says, get Moto Center rocking a few more times. Would love that, man. Would love that. But that's why I had to go to the Bucks games this year. It's like, how many times am I going to be able to watch Dame in person again? You never know. You never know. Adam Smith says Dame's the realest one. I became a Blazer fan while watching him as a rook do Dame things and always compete at the highest level. Yeah. Yeah, man, like, dude, it's watching Dame got me through some stuff. I saw a lot of people saying that too. Like watching Dame, watching the Blazers got you through tough times in life, right? And that's where like you got that attachment, man. Like sports is supposed to be an escape from real world problems, from stuff you're struggling with. It's supposed to entertain you. It's supposed to make you feel good, you know, even through the ups and downs. It's supposed to give you something that ultimately it's a game. Of course, it's like we want this team to win. We'll be happy when they win, sad when they lose, upset when they lose, that sort of thing. But ultimately, it's supposed to be, in my opinion, kind of an escape from reality. And there's times like going through stuff, you know, high school, college, and watching like Dame have a huge game or hit that buzzer beater in year 2 to beat the Rockets, or, you know, like I didn't have the best time in college out in Tri-Cities the one year I went and played college ball, and, you know, like the night where he hit those 5 straight threes against OKC in the final 3 minutes. Like, I remember watching that in my apartment that had, like, no furniture on it, just a coffee table and a couch, and watching that on my laptop, man, like, you know, and it's all those memories that are just obviously very cherished, so that's why it hurts. Just because it's always, you know, like, get older, and it's just that's the thing, is like seeing Dame get older, seeing him get close to retirement, deal with an injury like this. It kind of makes you feel more like real life. You know, in real life, we're all getting older, we're all progressing through life. The only time that really hits with sports is like with an injury, or that player you've watched their whole career is getting to the point where they're getting close to the end of it, and then all you have is those memories. And that's kind of the sad part. So, you know, that's when it becomes heavy, and that's when it becomes, you know, a little bit more like what life is really like. And, you know, I always hope for sports to be kind of the thing that takes me away from reality, so to say. So,
yeah. Yeah. Tough, man. I was bummed all day yesterday.
Yeah. Yep. Young Tori's saying this. Thank you for calling me young. I appreciate it. You're going through what I went through with Iverson. Yeah. Yeah. What would be a successful year next year? What would be a successful year next year, Eric?
Well, the Blazers have set the expectations for it to be a successful year. They need to make the play in at the very least. To me, it's if they do things like clear salary and set themselves up to possibly build a more complete roster and have more assets in the future, I think that would be successful. But just in terms of on the court, I think they need to go from that 11th, 12th seed to at least the 10th seed for it to be successful. You're muted.
Oh, yeah. I said no, I'm not into my mic, and then I realized I was.
No, I'm not.
I don't... The barometer for success depends on what they do this offseason still, so I'm not even ready to go there yet. Like, if they trade for Giannis, their barometer for success would obviously be a lot higher than if they trade all their vets and just start the young guys. But, like, I think play-in at least, and that's kind of where Chauncey's said it. You know, he's tired of game 82 of the regular season being the final game. Nathan Rolfe says, was going to ask this and call in, if we somehow land Flag, is it better to stick with Ant than Scoot fit-wise? I mean, sure, like, Ant's right now, probably better than Scoot, so the fit is easier. But, like, you still need playmakers, and Scoot, his shot improved. So if his shot continues to improve, I don't think he's necessarily, like, worse than Ant off the ball. I think Ant will still be a better catch-and-shoot guy, but I really like the way Scoot attacks passes and gets downhill off the catch. So I think if you're in a system that actually flows properly, I don't think a noticeable difference fit-wise, and then Scoot hopefully will become better than Ant is right now long-term. So, I wouldn't say, like, getting Flag would make me want Ant over Scoot long-term.
In theory, we wouldn't have to choose right away either.
I mean, yeah, like, you guys know I want this core 5 to start next year outside of a no-brainer trade for a really good player or, like, they get Cooper Flag. Those are the two scenarios where it's like, all right, yeah, you get Cooper Flag. All right, bring Tomani off the bench. Like, you got Cooper Flag and Denny Avdia as your forwards. We're in a great spot. So, speaking of that, let's do a tankathon. We deserve...
While you're loading that, Bruce Davis had a member for 29-month message earlier in the stream. He said, "Hi, Tori, Eric. Thank you both. Best hard work."
Hi, Bruce. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for being a channel member. Anyway. I'm just reading chat. Okay. We don't have it on screen. I'll just read it off. I still have not set up that scene yet. Okay. But I will read it off.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Yep, 2 weeks from tomorrow. That's crazy. We're almost done with this. 14 is San Antonio via Atlanta. 13 is Atlanta via Sacramento. 12 is Chicago. 11 is Dallas. 10 is your Portland Trail Blazers. I'm so tired of being at 10, man. 9 is the Houston Rockets via the Phoenix Suns. 8 is the Brooklyn Nets, so San Antonio moved up.
Yes.
And 7 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're picking below OKC and Houston and San Antonio's top 4. Love it. 6 is Charlotte. 5 is Utah. 4 is Toronto. 3 is Washington. 2 is New Orleans. Which means the number 1 overall pick goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah. They're going to trade for Giannis and get Flag.
Oh, God. Shut up.
Flag Giannis, Wemby, front court. Let's go.
Oh, goodness. Oh, God. That's gross.
Fox, yeah.
OKC getting a higher pick than us would be very tough to swallow. Yeah, but
what
like...
do you mean?
It would be very tough to swallow. What do you mean? What do you mean? That would be very tough to swallow.
I mean, if they get the pick, it's almost guaranteed to be higher than us. So that why would you say that now instead of like months ago?
I don't know what you're saying. I don't get what you're saying. Like, if they pick higher than us, that's tough to swallow. They're the dominant 1 seed, and they're picking higher than us.
Yeah, but we've known since Philly.
Yeah, that doesn't make it any less harder to swallow. It's still hard to swallow. But we don't know if they're going to pick higher than us. Like, that pick is more likely to be top 6, so.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's why we're rooting all year for Philly to suck if they were going to suck.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get that.
Absolutely. But, yeah, it'd be tough to swallow for sure. Like, I don't want OKC picking before us, man. Hell no. But you know what? Like, they rebuilt the way that I've been asking the Blazers to rebuild, and the Blazers Uprise haters say rebuilding that way doesn't end up in good things or something, and you don't want to be like the Pistons or the Thunder, whatever. So Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we move up, man. I'm ready for the lottery to be done. Well, I'll just actually move up. It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm resigning myself. It's not happening. Everything we get is heartbreak. We lose the coin flip. Dame tears his Achilles, and we're not going to move up. Like, anyway. Eric's got a legit background tour. You got to get some stuff on the wall. I mean, he has a Blazers, blanket?
Yeah, it's just a blanket that I put up on the wall.
Yeah. I got a Blazers flag. And it's symbolic. Because it's a flag. I've been meaning to, but I don't know. I kind of prioritize buying furniture for my house. You know. I like having a couch. And a TV stand. That I didn't have in college, so.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching tonight.
Yeah, I keep zoning out in the chat. Appreciate you guys watching. Shout out at US TV. Check them out. We'll be live again. Well, Hoops Crush will be live on Wednesday. Blazers Uprise live on Thursday. So Eric and Crushables will talk about Dame and the playoffs and whatever else you guys want to talk about. And then we'll live again on Thursday. What we'll talk about, I don't know. We'll find something, but appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's a little tough stream talking about the Dame injury, man. It's upsetting, but move forward from here. Continue to cover the playoffs. Continue to talk about teams that have some questions to answer this offseason and how the Blazers might factor into some of those answers. But yeah, have a good rest of your Monday. I'll see you again on Thursday. Eric will see you again on Wednesday. Hit that subscribe button, like button, all that good stuff. We're out of here. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.